All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. And it is the 10th of March. Holy smokes. I don't know about you, but it feels like this year is going by very, very quickly. Let's see here. So we have until the 15th here for this Club Secret promotion for till Monday night to get everybody on. If you haven't started playing around with your Club Secret and seeing all the discounts and researching, one of the first things that you can do is go research any place that you've gone. Research any place that you've booked before and see if you can find some of those screaming deals that are out there inside of the program, which are pretty darn cool. So, but today what I wanted to go over was kind of going back to some of the basics, because as we've come out of the weekend, and many of you guys, how many of you guys were a part of the VIP training? VIP training, saw the VIP training. Okay. So I went on the VIP training. I talked about this, but I'm going to dive into it a little bit deeper here today, a little bit more, and actually expand on it a little bit. And the reason why is because I know that this group of people particularly is much more engaged in building with online strategies and some of the other programs that we're out there that we're working with, and especially with attraction marketing. And as we're going out there and building in those formats and building in those programs, I think it's one of the things that is super important for all of us. Okay. So, okay. Perfect. So in any event, one of the things that we wanted to go through is talking about our habits. So habits are really the essence of building the foundation of a successful organization inside of our business, is what it is that they are, what we're working through inside of our system for creating the foundation for us to build off of. So if you see somebody that has incredible results in their fitness for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it's not on accident. When you see somebody who has incredible relationship and love and passion in their marriage for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's not on accident. When you see somebody who's mastered over their finances for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, not on accident. Those are not accidental things. They're habitual things. And so what we're looking for is, what are some of the habits inside of the business that we want to make sure that we are producing again and again and again and again. And we go back to this consistently because so many people out there, I believe, are looking for the secret. Like, what is the secret to success, or looking for the shortcut? And I see this happen so often, is what is the shortcut? What are they looking to do? How do I circumvent the business as I'm trying to build it quicker, faster, all these other things, right? So one of those things I would highly, highly recommend. So take notes on this stuff, because I talked a little bit about it all over the weekend. As the secret, as the kind of core 4 daily activities. But we're going to expand on that today here to the secret 7. Ooh, right. So the secret 7, and that is, hang on a sec. Let me pull this up here for us. Okay. So, okay. So basically, the secret 7 is the 7 daily actions for massive success. So please write these down in your notes, because I want to get into them. I want to expand on them. And it's also something that it needs to be a part of our daily conversation. It needs to be a part of something that we're thinking about as kind of our kind of to-do list or checklist that we're building our business for on a daily basis, because these are the habits from building. So the first is be a product of the product. Obviously, this should not take a lot of time to explain. We know this is that is the number one sell, and the only sell you really need to make is when you sell yourself. When you're sold on your products, you're excited, you're using them, you're delivering the message of the products. This is where using the product, now, whether it be our skincare, whether it be our nutrition, or whether it be Club Secret, is starting to experience what those products are. And I know those that are on the product side that have sold products have never sold a service. How do I even do that? It's very simple. It's the same thing, is be a product of the product. So as soon as you get a chance to go on one of these trips or experience them, when the kind of the world starts opening up, or getting onto one of these 10-year anniversary trips, one of those things that's super important. Okay. I'm not going to spend much time there because I think we understand. Number 2, learn. Get trained, sharpen your skills. We say a minimum of 15 minutes a day. Obviously, we have these huddles that we have in the morning, which are a great way to kick off your day, kick off your morning. We've got different trainings, but it's not just the huddles that you have in the morning. It's going to be what are you deciding to sharpen your skills, to learn, to grow. They said, if you have 4 hours to chop down a tree, you want to spend 3 hours sharpening your axe and 1 hour hitting the tree, instead of taking the same dull axe to the same tall tree. And you're like, why is this so painful? And the reason why is because we want to be constantly sharpening our skills. So we'll kind of go into that here in a little bit. Number 3, connect. This is one of those things that's really important inside of our business, is connecting with 2 new people, minimum of 5 days a week. Now, in the core 4, I talked about this as exposures. Okay. Now, exposures, whether this is warm market, whether this is cold market, whether this is online market, whether this is Facebook market, wherever this is in communication with 2 new people a day. Now, this is usually the area where people find the most challenge in their business, I would say, a lot of the times, and forgetting how important this is, forgetting how important it is to connect with a minimum of 2 new people every single day. And a lot of times we don't understand really the power behind this. I'm going to come back to this in a little bit because I want to give you all 7, and then we're going to dissect them a little bit more. But 2 new people, what we're doing is we want to be filling our funnel. We want to constantly be adding new people that are evaluating our opportunity, evaluating our products, evaluating between saying yes and saying no. So I was always told, if you want to be a big builder, a big team builder, is you want to have 10 in play at all times. Now, what is 10 in play? 10 in play are people that are in between yes and in between no, that you're always constantly, you're following up with. So once someone says yes, they're not in play anymore. Once someone says no, or maybe later down the road, they're not in play anymore. Meaning people that are evaluating information that are between yes and between no. Now, for those that want to be big, builders, and you want to sponsor a lot of people, I want to encourage you to have obviously more than 10 in play, because if you expose 2 people every single day for 5 days, you should have 10 in play. Now, from there, the next piece here, number 4, okay? Number 4, okay? Post on your social media. You want to be building your brand. Now, in posting, I want you to follow the guidelines that we've talked about here, especially with Ruth and Trisha, who talk about attraction marketing. What we're not looking to do is vomit our business, vomit our product all over our social media. And I've talked about this before, where back in the day, before social media, if you make a phone call and you just butcher it horribly, like it's the worst opportunity. You couldn't have done it worse. I call up Leah and I go, Leah, listen, I got this thing. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to get rich. It's like a pyramid, but it's not really a pyramid, but we're going to be on top of the pyramid, but it's before all the, it's legit, but it's not really legit, but you know what I mean? You've seen these things before. Come on, let's do this. And she goes, please don't ever talk to me again. Right. So if I literally ruin it off of one conversation, I have ruined really one contact. Now, Leah might go call a few people and call up Lisa and call up Scott and call up, and Jesse's lost his mind. And I might have ruined more than that. But really what it is we're talking about here is on social media, it's so easy to literally to have your entire online marketplace and your entire people that are looking at you. So in building out your brand is we're looking to attract people that are asking you, what do you got going on? What do you have going on? And I can tell you over the course of the last 6 months, as I have started practicing some of these principles, I can tell you, I have more people that have been inboxing me, asking me questions. And here's when you know you got it going on, is I've had people inboxing me, even asking me, wait, are you still in Seacret? Which is exciting because I'm more in Seacret than ever before, because they want to know, what are you doing? What are you up to? What's going on in your world? And these are people that if I was constantly inundating them with Seacret would never be reaching out to have conversations with me. So posting on your social media, right? Number 5, engage. Okay. You want to interact and create closer relationships. So what does this mean? This is commenting. This is following up with, this is remessaging. And in this, I want you to write down follow-ups. They say fortune is in the follow-up, but fortune is in the immediate follow-up. Fortune is in the immediate follow-up. Number 6, grow. We want to be reading and listening to personal development every single day. Like I have just my stacks of stuff here. And on my list, I've got my vision statement, which I've got right here framed in front of my desk that I have out here. I've got a laundry list of books just right here. I mean, what do I have here? I've got the 5 Love Languages. If you haven't read this, oh my gosh, what a phenomenal book, and for business and in personal. This is one of the books that I haven't read yet, that it was a gift, called Legacy, talking about the All Blacks, so the most winning team in the history of any sport, from good to great. I've got how about this one? This one is actually in Japanese. This is a network marketing book in Japanese. I haven't figured out how to read it yet, but I'm going to figure it out at some point. I've got John C. Maxwell, The Power of Five for Network Marketing. These are just the books that I have here on my desk. Like, here's how crazy I am. All right. So my fiance, she loves the deal shopping at Goodwill, right? And finding all the good deals at Goodwill and the tags and all that kind of stuff, and finding stuff. And she was like, "You should come with me." And I was like, "No, like I don't know. Like I don't care." Right. So anyway, she finally convinces me. I was like, "Fine, I'll come in with you." Right. So I come in. So when we were walking around, she was like, "If you find these special dots, you can find like the $1 items and all these other things." Some of you guys know this stuff. And I was like, okay, like this is, for her, it's like scavenger hunting. And I'm like, this is not enjoyable for me. And then all of a sudden I'm kind of like, "Oh, I'll meet you in the car. I'll hang out. I'll do some phone calls and return some text messages." And I get up to the front, and there's the books. Now, all of a sudden, oh, I'm in my element, right? So I am literally, look at this. I bought like, how many? I bought like 15 books that I found. So The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Tony Robbins. I was scouring the entire fiction section for every personal development book I could find, because I was like, this is $2. Do people know how valuable this book is? Right. And I own most of the books, but I've also given away so many books over the years of things that I've read and things that I've been looking for. And I haven't, because I was like, it was almost kind of like, these don't deserve to be in Goodwill. Like, these deserve to be in somebody's home. Like, I got to bring my little friends home with me and take care of them and give them to people. Like, that's probably how she feels about clothes, is how I feel about my books, right? And I became like a weirdo instantaneously about the importance of my books. Like, I like showing off my books like they're my children, right? Like, that's how much pride I have in these books. And I want you to think about it is, what's on your desk, what's on your library, what are you putting in, and what are you getting out? And I could spend literally an hour on this subject alone, about going from where you are to where you want to be. And a large portion of that is not going to be just getting better at presenting our membership. It's not just going to be getting better at presenting our opportunity. The biggest thing about getting from where you are to where you want to be financially is about becoming the leader that people are so excited to get a chance to connect and work with. And so, what are you listening to? And today, guys, you have to like stand guard at the doors of your mind more than ever, because it's so easy. Like, and I've even noticed it with myself. So back when I first got started in this profession 18 years ago, 19 years ago now, I remember going to my trainings and they were like, just turn the news off. Like, just literally just turn it off. They were like, I'll tell you what it's going to be. CNN, you know what it stands for? Constant negative news. That's what it is. It's just negative. Like, tomorrow, guess what it's going to be? Negative. I don't know if you guys know what tomorrow's news is going to be, but I can tell you, I'll predict the news. It's going to be negative. And I remember thinking, but where do you get your news from? And they were like, trust me, if something really important happens, somebody's going to tell me. So, like, I'm going to find out. And this is obviously before social media, before all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, let me just try it on. I'm going to turn. So they said, literally get rid of your TV. And I was like, get rid of your TV? Who does that? And they were like, rich people. I was like, okay. Now, I was a kid. I was 19 years old and they was talking about this. I was like, all right, fine. So I got rid of my TV. And as a result of it, what I found was is there was just less things to focus on that were on the negative side. It was much easier back then I wasn't listening to the news. I wasn't listening to the radio. I was listening to personal development in my car. I wasn't listening to this, and it was easy. Now, then what happened is the news found its way into social media. And as you guys know, the news right now is everything is shock and awe, as you guys know. Before, if they control the narrative, but in order for to get you to like something, share something, it has to be insanely happy, meaning it causes a burst of emotion, like cats. You know, they're like, they're so cute, I have to share this with my friends. Or it has to be so enraging that people are triggered by it so much that they can get you to, because if it's mildly irritating, you scroll by. It has to be like, what, in order for it to share. So they figured this stuff out, guys. And all of a sudden I'm finding myself, whereas before social media was, oh, here's what my friend's doing. Here's what my friend's doing, to now it's like news, 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 news. And I want you to just be careful. And am I saying that you need to not watch the news? No, I'm not saying that you don't need to be up to speed, but I want you to be careful. At a minimum, what are we putting in our brain? What are we putting in our system? We know that if we load up our body with terrible things all day long, our body's not going to perform very well. We know that if we load a bunch of stuff onto our computer, viruses and information and stuff, and we just load it up with just terrible stuff, and we don't update it in the operating system, it's not going to operate very well. Okay. So I want you guys to think about it as this, is some people are operating, if you currently were using Windows 1998 in 2021, you know, I mean, like, what are we doing, right? So if you haven't updated your operating system, some people haven't updated their operating system up here in forever. So we need to be updating. Now, I can go on and on with that one. I'm going to stay there. So number 7, plan your day before you start your day. One of the most important things that we can do is planning our day before we start our day. Planning our day before we start our day. Okay. Now, if we were to take these 7 things and we look at how much time they take to build our business, we take a look at how much talent. These things don't take talent. They just take consistency. And I think if we were looking at this objectively and going, okay, what if I just did this for 21 days? What if I just committed to doing this for 30 days? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it every day. I'm going to use my products every day. Now, some of you guys go, I got that down. Like, you don't have to think about that one anymore. How many of you guys right now, step number 1, you're not even like concerned about it. You do it every day. You don't think about it. It's just a part of your daily habit, right? So yes, no, hello. All right. Okay. So, all right, good. So when it comes to doing this, when we're looking at the habits, you don't think about that anymore. The question is, which of these 7 are you doing inconsistently, and which one of these 7 you're not doing at all? Those are the ones that we need to turn into habits. Which are the ones that we need to move from being a thought to being a should, to being a got it, to being a habit? What we're looking to do is transfer the same way that many of you right now are on your products, where you don't think about it. You just wake up, use your products. You don't think about, okay, I got my lunch, I got my shake and greens, I got my products. Okay, I take my boosters, they're right before my bed. I pop my boosters, I got it. Right? That's habitual for us. Is how do we move into the habits? Right? But if you were to take a look at the 2, that if you could find a way to make these 2 the most important habits that you do every day, inside of the consistency is 2 new people a day, and your personal development every day. Those 2 pieces, if nothing else, were the 2 that made they're what made me. What made me in network marketing was 2 things: every day 2 new people a day, and every day some personal development. Those were the 2. If I was looking at it, was new people grow, new people grow, new people grow. If you did all the other ones without those 2, the other ones collapse on each other. Those are the ones, like every single day, those 2 new people. Now, I had to trick myself into doing 2 exposures every day. And today it's so much easier to be able to get 2 new conversations started, 2 new people exposed to my business, 2 new people, right? And for those of you guys that are going, I don't know how to expose new people to my business. Okay, let me help you practice on your social media. For those of you guys that are afraid to approach your warm market, here's what you're going to do. I want you to start 2 new conversations with people on your social media, on your personal page, and you can't talk about Seacret. How's that? Haha. Now there's no fear. Right? So you can't talk about, just start a conversation with them about what's going on. If they ask you, what have you been up to? just be like, well, listen, I can't tell you because Jesse Macpherson said I'm not allowed to talk about my business. No, I'm just kidding. That'd actually be funny though. You know what'd be weird? That would probably work. So if I think about it and be like, listen, sorry, I'm actually not allowed to talk about my business. Why? Well, because I'm a secret agent. So I mean, I kid, I play around. So, but at the same time, I really want you to be thinking about this is constantly in communication and conversation. So people say, well, where do I find people? Obviously through attraction marketing, through online, through all these different places, through these groups. But this is your opportunity to look at this. Now, for those of you guys that have seen me draw this out, you've seen me draw this out quite a few different times, right? So, and I'll draw it out for you guys one more time so you guys can see really the power behind this, right? Which is going to be really important. Is if you are doing, okay, if this is you, okay, and you are doing 2 a day, if this is a day, right? That would be a week. If you're doing it 5 days a week, that would be 10 exposures a week, 10 new people that are, evaluating, looking at, taking a look at information, right? So if you're doing that over the course of a year, if you're doing that for 50 weeks a year, that would be 500 exposures for the year. At 500 exposures a year, you can't be that bad. Somebody's joining. Somebody's going to get excited. Somebody is going to go, this makes sense to me. And now if only 1% join, that'd still be 5 people. Now, if you had 5 people doing 2 exposures a day, that would be 10 a day. That would be 50 a week. That'd be 2,500 a year. Look, you're going to get people signed up. Now, I'm not asking you to do 10 a day. I'm asking you to do how many? 2. But to be consistent with the 2 that you're doing. Now, if only 1% joined, right, that'd be 25. If 25 joined and you had 25 people doing 2 a day, that's 50 a day. That's 250 a week. That's 12,500 a year. What is this? This is getting close to basically being done. If you have this type of activity going on consistently in your business, people, so what this is a large group of people doing a few simple things consistently over a period of time. That's network marketing. A large group of people doing a few simple things consistently over a period of time. Write that down. A large group of people doing a few simple things consistently over a period of time. And one of those is those 2. Now, I could give you story after story after story of the exposures that are out there. And I'll give you one story here today that led me to some pretty incredible business. So this was back in back in the day. So I had a woman. If you guys remember my story, I can see if I can find her because this is just such a delightful story. And we'll pull it up here. Okay. For those of you guys that saw my my presentation that I did at the convention, let me pull this up. Ta-da! Ta-da! So when I did my convention speech and I kind of shared with my story, there's me as a child, me and my dancing career and my background and all that kind of stuff. But this is a picture of my very first meeting. Now in the top left, I want to show you something that's really interesting. So I don't think I've ever shared this story with you guys. So in the top left is a picture of my very first meeting. And these were the people that came over to my house when I launched my business to show them what I was doing. Now, most of these people were part of my dance company and from this dance company right here. A lot of the people in this picture are in my living room, right? So the girl on the far left, her name is Christine. Okay. So in the dark hair that's kind of leaning over into the guy with the gray shirt. So can you guys see Christine? Everyone give me a nod, right? So I want to tell you the story of Christine. So here's what happens. Christine comes to my living room and towards the very end of the presentation, Christine goes, these things are scams out loud in front of, there's 20 people in the living room, and basically walks out of my house because there was a lot of like standing room and basically says, come on guys, this is stupid. Let's go. Right. So, and I'm like devastated, right, as to what to do. So anyway, a lot of people didn't sign up that night. A few people ended up signing up, but a lot of people signed up like the days later because the mood got really kind of weird in that point. So Christine told me this thing was a scam, right? So anyway, about a year later, okay, I end up continuing to build my business and I go earn a car bonus with the company and I get a new car. And I remember going to dance rehearsal, dance practice. She's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. How did you get that car?" And I was like, "Oh, that scam. Remember that scam? Yeah, that's how I got the car." Uh, she was, she was like, "Oh my God." She was like, "Oh my God, can I get a ride?" And I was like, "No, you said it wasn't for you." So no, I'm just kidding. I wasn't that petty. That's what I wanted to say. But I was like, "Yeah, you can get a ride to the meeting. I'll take you to the meeting so you can see what this thing's all about." And so I invite her back to the meeting. And I'm like, so come to the meeting, like, listen, you didn't give it a fair shot. You didn't evaluate it. She was like, all right, fine, I'll come. So I keep inviting her to this presentation. So the first time I invite her, she says she's coming. Does she show up? Of course not. That'd be way too easy, right? Second week, doesn't show up. Third week, doesn't show up. Finally, at this point, I'm almost entertained, right? So I finally call her and I was like, listen, Christine, there's the event on Saturday. I know you're not coming. I just wanted you to know that it was on Saturday, right? So I know you're not coming. She's like, no, I'm going to come this time. No, I know you're not coming. It's okay. I know you're not coming. I just wanted, the next one's Saturday, just like the other 4 that you said you were going to come to that you didn't come to. So, but anyway, I'll see you at rehearsal on Sunday. Right. So she's like, no, I'm coming. And I was like, no, it's okay. I know you're not coming. I'll see you Sunday. And she was like, so guess what? She shows up to the meeting finally. So she shows up to the meeting after 4 misses. She comes to the meeting and she sits in the front row with me at this presentation. She goes, oh, this is amazing. Oh my God. And I was like, I know, I've been telling you forever. So anyway, I sit down with Christine. I sign her up. I sign up Christine. I go meet her. And a week later, she calls me. She's like, Jesse, I'm quitting. She just gave me her money. I just did her game plan. I was like, why are you quitting? She was like, my mom says I can't do this. It's a scam. It's like, oh my God. Like mother, like daughter, I guess. I don't know. Right. So anyway, I go, look, she doesn't get it. Remember, you thought it was a scam too. You didn't understand it. Now you've seen it. Now you understand it. She's like, no, I can't do it. So I'm not going to do it. And I was like, well, I mean, you already signed up. I don't know what else to do. I was like, why don't you give me some people to call? And I'll see if I can help you make some money and then whatever. Because all I'm looking to do is network through her to find some other people. So she gives me a list of about 15 people. And I call those people and I don't reach any of them. I leave a message for most of them and it doesn't go through. So finally, about almost a year, it's almost a year later now. This is 2 years from my start. I get a phone call from this guy I thought it was kind of like a telemarketer. He picks up the phone. He goes, hey, what's going on, Jesse? I'm just calling you to let you know about the new club opening that's happening here. And I was like, hey, what's going on, man? How are you? So long time no talk. Now, sometimes when I answer the phone, if I don't know who you are, I just act like I know who you are because then it's funny. So, and he goes, do we know each other? And I was like, I don't know. Do we know each other? And he was like, well, I just wanted to invite you to this new club opening. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And I was like, how did you get my number? And he was like, well, you're on my list. I was like, how did I get on your list? He was like, you must have been to one of our clubs. And I was like, I've never been to one of your clubs. Anyway, so we kind of cruise over it. But then I asked him a question. I said, what's your name, Neil? I said, Neil, is this all you do? And he's like, no, I'm going to school too. And I said, so listen, are you open to making any extra income outside of club promoting? Write this in your notes. Are you open to making extra income outside of whatever you're doing? Fill in the blank. Are you open? That's it. I just want to know, are you open? And here's what he said. He said, no. He said, no, I'm super busy. He gave me the immediate knee-jerk time excuse. How many of you guys gotten the time excuse 100 times, a million times? Now, if I would have been new in the business, I would have just let that go. But I already had a little bit of rapport with this guy, right? We were building up some rapport. So I basically told him, I said, listen, I know, I get it. You're busy. School, you're club promoting, you're doing all this stuff. Are you working anywhere else? And he was like, yeah, I got this other part-time job. I said, so if there was something, right now you're doing club promoting. If there was something out there that you could do promoting wise that made you more money with less time than your club promoting, would you at least take a look? If there was something out there that could make you more money with less time, would you at least take a look? And he was like, okay, like reluctantly said, okay, because that was hard to say no to. All right. For those of you guys that were on our bronze and above call, we talked about that being leading questions. I asked him a leading question. a question that was leading to an answer where we both knew the answer and it was going to be in my favor. Right. So if there was something out there, because how many guys, there was the time excuse, and I used to get that all the time. So time, I don't have enough time. Perfect. So what I end up telling the guys, I said, listen, so do me a favor, listen to this call. I gave him back in the day before we had videos. Oh my God, we're so spoiled. It's stupid, right? Back in the day, here's how we used to expose people. We would give them an 800 number, right? So, right. So, and we'd give them an 800 number, and it was a recorded call that they would call and listen into that explained the business. We called it a sizzle call, right? Ben, you remember these sizzle calls? Right? So these sizzle calls, and I give it to him. Now, does he listen to it? No. I follow up with him 7 times. 7 times I follow up with them. And now I'm like, I'm entertained now. Here's what's interesting. I found it entertaining how many times I had to follow up with people before they would actually do something. It's a 4-minute recorded phone call, guys. Right? So here's finally what I say is I finally follow up with them and I go, you know what? Hey, do you have 4 minutes right now? This is where I learned this technique, by the way. I said, hey, do you have 4 minutes right now? He was like, yeah, I got 4 minutes. I said, perfect. I would 3-way phone call in the recorded sizzle call and listen to it together with them. And then what I found out is I could cut down on all my follow-up time, right? So in following up with him, he listens to the call. I ask him at the end, what did you like best? He said, actually, that service sounds interesting. So I go meet him. He becomes a customer. He doesn't sign up as an agent. I met him at the Jamba Juice in La Cienega. This was in 2004. You're like, how do you remember these things? All right. I don't know. Weird, right? So I meet him and I go sign him up. This guy's name's Neil, right? So Neil ends up becoming a customer, not becoming an agent. About 6 months later in my business, I'm finally like trying to qualify for rank. How many of you guys have been trying to qualify for bronze, royale, silver, gold, right? It's the last day of the week and you're like, I got to get some volume in. I got to get a sign up in. I was on one of those days lying on my apartment floor, staring at the ceiling, being like, please God, send me somebody. Right. So I end up getting this guy who calls me. So Neil happens to was in a fraternity in college, okay, with a guy named Jason. Jason was one of these guys that was pretty sharp, and he was in need of the service that Neil purchased from me. So Neil said, hey, you should call Jesse. So he calls me up and I'm talking to him. He's like, hey, can your service help with this and this? I say, yeah. He said, by the way, is this a network market? Is this no, he doesn't say network. He says, is this a multi-level marketing company? And normally when somebody says that out the gates, usually the response is usually negative. So I tell him, I said, well, it's one of the divisions our company has, where we also have company benefits and all that. And he goes, yeah, I've been looking for a multi-level marketing opportunity. And I was like, yeah, for sure. We do multi-level. We do a lot of we do as much multi-leveling as you want. How many levels do you want of multi? Right. And he's all of a sudden like, I'm like, oh my God, maybe I found my next ace. Maybe I found my next Sandra. Because he's talking to me about how serious he is. He's graduating school. He wants to do it full time. He wants to make 6 figures. How fast can I make 6 figures? I'm like, oh my God, this is it. So anyway, I set up an appointment to go meet Jason. I go meet Jason. Jason doesn't show. He's a no-show to the appointment. I drove 30 minutes too. Now in Jason's appointment, here's what's interesting. What I didn't know is he got in an accident on the way there, which is why he never got a chance to call me. We reset up the appointment. Finally, I go meet with Jason. I'm doing Jason's presentation, and here's what happens. At the end of the presentation, okay, so I'm doing this, and Jason, at the end, he's nodding and bobbing the whole time. He's like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God, yeah, And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's in. Because normally through the presentation, if somebody's like that engaged in your presentation, they're signing up. So I'm at the end of the presentation, so I ask a closing question, which is, so are you ready to get started? And he goes, nope, like straight-faced, And I was like, but everything made sense. He was like, yeah, it totally makes sense. I totally get it all. But you're not ready to join. He's like, no, not now. Oh, do you have any questions? No, I got it. I understand it all. Okay. And I remember leaving the meeting so confused. So what I didn't realize is Jason was testing me. Jason had worked in network marketing before, and he was working with an upline that was really pushy, aggressive, and needy. and he wanted to see how I would react to being rejected. And which I didn't know at that time. Now, I hadn't been in long enough. So finally I call him up and I go, hey, listen, we're doing this meeting. He's like, perfect, I'm going to come. So he comes to this meeting and he brings his girlfriend. And I'm sitting in the front because it was like leaders seating in the front. He ended up showing up late, so he sat in the back. And then we had a break. And at the end of the break, it's at the end of the presentation, he texts me during the presentation. He's like, I'm ready to get started. Perfect, right? So here's the mistake I make. By the way, I'm just telling you all the mistakes that I've made along the way. He tells me he's ready to get started. Here's what my dumbass does. My dumbass doesn't sign him up. So you know what I do? I said, look, we have a whole training. Why don't you just stay for the training and we'll do your paperwork after the training? When somebody says they're ready to sign up, you know what you do? Sign them up. You get the card, get the information whenever. I don't care. Some people, if it's in the first exposure, if it's the fifth exposure, if it's halfway through an exposure, if they give you a buying opportunity, get them in, right? So anyway, we go to break. I go, you know what? We'll sign you up after the training. Enjoy the training. Anyway, after the training is there, I can't find him. I call his cell phone. It's disconnected. At this point, I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? So through this whole process, this is almost a 2-year process from the girl who sat in my first living room telling me that this whole thing was a scam. I'm telling you the story for a reason. There's a purpose to this. Some of you guys are like, this is a long story. You're right, it is. Okay. So, but what happened through this is Jason finally about 4 months later calls me and he goes, hey, Jess. And I was like, hey, man. So listen, hey, I'm so sorry. Here's what happened. My girlfriend, we got in a fight. She needed to leave. And then my cell phone, I had a problem. I had to change carriers. I'm like, like, I'm done with the excuses right at this point. And he was like, no. I'm ready to get started. Can I come over tonight? Because I want to sign up and I want to sign up my mom, my brother, and my cousin. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Come on over. Right. So Jason comes over to my house. We fill out some applications. We get him in the system. And the first week I go to do a presentation. His uncle owns a State Farm office in Long Beach, and we use his office to do this presentation. And I go to the first one and it's all set up, projector, and I'm getting ready to do the presentation. He's like, no, I got this. I'm like, what? He's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh my God, I found him. I found my next Sandra. This is the guy. Here's the one. So Jason, I'm watching him do this presentation, his first week in the business. And I'm like, this is it. I found my next major leader. Here's what happens. 3 weeks later, he calls me to quit. And I go, after he signs up like 20 people, and he goes, you know what? I got to quit, Jess. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? You've only been doing this like a month and you're doing so good. You signed up all these people. And he was like, well, listen, I want to make 10 grand a month. And I mean, I only made $1,000 and and how long is it going to take me to make 10 grand? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm only making like 3 grand and I think I'm doing good. And I've been doing it for like 2.5 years now. Right. And he's like, well, you've been doing this 2.5 years. You aren't even making 10 grand yet. And I want to be making 10 grand. And I don't see a path to be able to do that. And I was like, yeah, but it's not residual and we want to build it residually. And I'm trying to, come up with these things because I'm losing this leader. And he was like, here's the problem. And it was in 2005. And all of his buddies were graduating and getting into mortgages. And if you guys remember in 2005, what was happening in the mortgage industry, they were just, Ben knows, they were making so much money so fast in mortgages. And so his buddies were making 10, 15, 20 grand a month. And here he is doing this whole network marketing thing, making no money. So he literally just quits. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? One of the guys he recruited was a guy named Juan. Okay. Juan Madero. Juan was a guy who lived in a very bad neighborhood in East LA. So I go do a launch party for Juan. And I was like, well, I got some people to work with. I do 5 living room presentations. No one shows for Juan. No one, not one person. We can't get anyone to show up in Juan's living room. So I go, you know what? Maybe the living room isn't the place to invite people anymore because your neighborhood, I don't know. So he just invites people to the meeting, like inviting someone today to an ATM group, right? And after this, Juan is one of those guys that is like, you know what? I'm going to follow the system. I'm going to follow the program. He was not fast. He was not flashy. He had no real business skills outside of that. He had just graduated college. He had a part-time job. He was working at a car dealership or a car rental place. I think it was Hertz. And I taught him these principles: 2 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day. I said, just do your simple principles. And he was like, okay. And he bought into the concept. And for 6 months, no results, no results, no results. And back in the day, we had magazines that we would give out. And I was like, just give out magazines to people and you'll find it. And he put a sticker. So you know what he would do is he would go to doctor's offices. You know how they have the magazines at the doctor's offices and the waiting rooms? And he would use his exposures and do these 2 exposures. And he put this magazine in the doctor's office. And one of the guys that was waiting for his dental appointment and read the magazine, saw it interesting, called Juan, set an appointment, signed up in the business. He used to own a paintball store. His name was Charlie Mullenkamp, Charlie and Lisa. And Charlie and Lisa ended up signing up with Juan and became the #1 sellers to businesses in the entire company. Still today in 2021. They're still in that company and still are the trainers and the #1 trainers for the company in small business. This was in 2006. They brought in 1,000 applications into that business from a magazine that was left at a doctor's office. That put my income from a $3,000 a month and added another $3,000 a month to my income. Now, why am I telling you this obnoxiously long story? Right? How do you plan that? You don't. Everything through the process, from the first presentation I did to Christine telling me no. Now, in this, here's the kicker going back. Neil called me to introduce me to a club. Why did Neil call me to introduce me to a club? Neil was one of the people that Christine gave me of the 10 people to call before she quit. I called Neil and left him a message saying, hey, call me back about an opportunity. Neil put me on his club promoting list and called me to promote a club, which we found out years later. And the reason why we found out is because I was searching through old papers and I found Christine's list of names and I saw Neil's name on there and I was like, oh my God, that's how this all happened. A person who showed up at my first presentation told me it was a scam, who a year later I kept inviting to a presentation, who then quit the business a week later, who I called 10 people who no one called me back, who led to an exposure about a club promotion, to I had to follow up with 7 times to listen to a 4-minute phone call that didn't sign up with the business, who led me to a guy named Jason, who I thought was going to be a star, who led me to a guy named Juan, who was handing out magazines in a doctor's office. That led me to $100,000 in income easily, like more than that over the years after that. Those are the stories that I want you guys to get. I know we want to have this all planned out. We do. I want you to have it all planned out. Unfortunately, we can't. This business is a total amoeba. I don't know who's going to introduce you to who. But why am I sharing it with this? This is why these habits are crucial to your long-term success. When you can instill these habits of these people just going out there and doing these simple daily activities, and you just apply a little bit of faith to the process of knowing this is going to work. If I stay on this path, if I stay consistent with these activities, we are going to get there. These are the things that I promise you, if you take them seriously, but the problem is they're easy to do, which means they're easy not to do. And what we don't understand is how devastating it is to our long-term growth. And we'll wake up in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, disappointed with our results in our business. And the only difference between you having massive success and puttering along is because we didn't stay consistent with the simple daily habits. That's it. So I want to put a little bit of the fear of God into you to do your 2 exposures every single day. So every day, I want you to go okay, what am I missing out on? What am I losing? Where am I going to be? Because it is not the big strides. Because over the course of the next 12 to 24 to 36 months, some of you are going to have your Juan Madero stories. You're going to expose someone you met in a Facebook group, and they're going to join, you're going to follow up, and then they're going to sign up, and they're going to quit, but they're going to lead you to somebody. And all of you, the names are going to change. The locations are going to change, but the story is going to be the same. Every single one of you will have your stories like this as long as you stay consistent with your process. So That's your story time for the day. All right. So let's go out there and make it a fantastic day, guys. Let's have your Wednesday be a miracle day. And we will see you guys on our next phone calls. Jesse Mack signing off, Phoenix, Arizona.